Okay, so let's talk about Nemo at the beginning of the movie. Who remembers what Nemo's like at the beginning of the movie? Aisha, you remember?
Yes.
What is Nemo like at the beginning?
Uh, he is a happy.
He's happy. Katie? Okay. Does Nemo know about the dangers of the ocean at the beginning of the movie?
Yes.
At the very beginning?
Yep.
Is he act very careful in the ocean at the
Nope.
beginning?
No,
No.
no, no.
So we can say he's happy and he's carefree. Okay. So what about the next part when Marlin tells Nemo he can't swim? How does Nemo feel here? Hang on.
Nemo felt
Say again.
happy.
Do you see the picture I'm talking about? Look at this picture right here. Does Nemo look happy?
I think in this picture. So I say, but this picture is angry
Why is he angry?
because that because his dad doesn't.
Doesn't what? Does his dad let him do things by himself?
No.
So we know he's angry. Does anyone have another word for this? Remember, his dad says he can't swim well. So after his dad says he can't swim well, Angtom, what does Nemo do?
Touch the boat.
He goes to touch the boat. Okay. So we'll say he is determined. So Nemo is determined to show his dad that he is able to do things as well as the other fish. Yeah. Remember, he wants to show his dad that he can do things just like the other fish can do. Okay, so that's at our beginning here. And then who remembers the part where Nemo gets stuck in the tube? Lily? Does Nemo think he can get out by himself?
No.
Okay, so how does he feel?
He feels uncomfortable.
Do you mean unconfident?
Unconfident.
Yes, they'll say he is unconfident. And what else? Does he think that he can help himself, David?
No, he can't.
So when someone can't help themselves, we'll call them helpless, right? So he's unconfident and he feels helpless because he's stuck. Okay. So what about this picture here? He learns that his dad has traveled far to come save him. So how does he feel now? Goku?
He feels happy.
He's happy. Look at the bottom picture here. This one.
Feel excited.
What is he about to go do?
To go to the Chidu plan of gears.
Yep, he's ready to do it again. Remember, the first time was scary, but he's going to try it again. So what can we say about Nemo here?
Nemo is
When something is scary, but you do it anyways. What is that called?
I don't remember a word.
You don't remember? Okay. So, see in the chat, we have brave. Remember that word, Goku? And Nemo's feeling brave and
Brief.
confident that he can do things by himself. Okay, and at the end of the story, how does Nemo feel? Actually, let's watch this clip first. We're gonna watch part of the story first, and then we will talk about how Nemo's feeling at the end.
Time for school, time for school. Get up, let's go, let's go. I'm gonna win!
No, you're not! I did it!
Oh, my own son beats me!
I'm aboard, explorers!
So just then, the sea cucumber looks over to the mollusk and says, with fronds like these, who needs anemones?
Well, hello, Nemo. Who's this?
Exchange student. I'm from the EAC, dude.
Sweet.
Totally.
But seriously, Marty, did you really do all the things you say you did?
Pardon me. Hello. Don't be alarmed.
Oh, we just wanted to make sure that our newest member got home safely.
Thanks, guys.
We'll see you next week.
Keep up with the program, Dory.
Remember, fish are friends.
Not food. Bye.
Hold on, here we go. Next up, knowledge.
Bye, son! Have fun!
Bye, Dad. Oh, Mr. Ray, wait, I forgot something. Love you, Dad.
I love you too, son.
Dad, you can let go now.
Sorry. Now go have an adventure.
Goodbye! See you later, dudes!
Bye, Elmo.
Nemo.
Nemo. Bye, Nemo.
See you after school, Dory! Bye, Dad!
Bye, son.
Okay, so what do we think of Nemo by the end of the movie? Lisa, what do you think about Nemo at the end? Does he like to do things by himself now, or is he still feeling helpless and unconfident?
He still likes to do things by himself.
Okay, so we can call that independent. Okay, so Nemo's independent. He can do things by himself. And how does he feel about his dad? Neymar, what does he do at the end of the movie? Does he just say, okay, see you later, and then doesn't come back? What does he do?
Yes.
Yes? Now remember, he tells Mr. Ray that he forgot something, and he goes back to do what?
He hugged.
He comes back to hug his dad. So we can say that he appreciates his dad. So when you appreciate someone, you think about all the nice things that they've done for you. Right? So what is the nice thing that Marlin did for Nemo? When Nemo was lost, Marlin did what?
Go to find Nemo.
So Nemo's thinking about the nice things that his dad has done for him, and he's acknowledging that. So he comes back, he gives his dad a hug, and he says, I love you. So we'll say he appreciates his dad. Okay. So this is how Nemo has changed throughout the whole movie. Do we think Nemo has changed a lot, a little bit, or medium? Let's see. James, what do you think?
I think it's a lot.
You think he's changed a lot? Okay.
Yes.
I think he's changed a good amount. All right, so I will make sure to send this home, and you can, if you have not finished, you can copy it at home. Or sorry, you should have already done this for homework, so you can check at home. All right, so we're going to talk today about who remembers seeing this at the very beginning, about a week and a half ago, at the beginning of our movie study? Does anyone remember this image? David, what does this image have to do with?
What does a mountain?
Mountain. Right, looks like a mountain. Okay, so this is our story mountain, or our plot mountain, okay? So at the bottom here, this is where we start the story. So that's the beginning. Another word for the beginning of the story is exposition. And who remembers, what do we find out at the beginning of the story? What information is introduced to us at the beginning? Maradona, do you remember? Think about our different story elements, our parts of a story. What's a part of a story that you know? Maradona, do you know the word for people or animals in a story?
Character.
Yep. So the beginning of our story, the characters, and what else, Harry Kane? What else might be introduced to us?
The director?
No, not the director. The characters, so that's the who's in the story. What about where?
Setting.
Yes, so the beginning or the exposition of our story, we're going to find out the main characters and the setting. So who's in the story and where our story is. Okay, then we have our rising action. So this is where with the problem or the conflict gets introduced to us and the events start to get more exciting. Okay, then we have our climax. And our climax is the most exciting or the most dramatic part of our story. Okay, and once we hit the climax, we're gonna start, that's the turning point. Okay, so we see our mountains going up, we hit the climax, and then we start to turn back down. So that's our falling action. Okay, so rising action is as events get more exciting. Falling action is the events get less exciting and we head towards the resolution or the end of our story. Okay, so we're gonna look at an example of this. This is what our story mountain is going to look like, and we're gonna look at the different parts. Okay, and then for homework, you're going to match the story map. You're gonna put the events on the story map in the correct order. Okay, so let's do this one first. Okay, so this is what our whole map is going to look like, and we'll zoom in on the different parts. Okay, so our plot diagram. So plot is the events in the story, and a diagram shows the different parts. Okay, remember our exposition or the beginning is the introduction. It gives us the background of the story and shows the characters, setting, conflict. And remember, the background of our story in Finding Nemo is we need to know why Marlin is so cautious and why he's overprotective. So, James, do you remember why Marlin is so protective?
Because he
What happened to Marlin that made him overprotective of Nemo?
because Nemo dad say that Nemo cannot do things on his.
But what happened to make Marlin feel like this? Do you remember at the very beginning of the movie? Harry Kane, can you tell us?
Almost all of the babies and coral are being eaten by the barracuda.
Guys, remember the barracuda or the big fish ate coral and almost all of the eggs. So that is the background. That tells us why Marlin is so overprotective. Okay, so we learned that at the very beginning. Okay, so then we have our setting. So who remembers, what is the setting of this story, Cherry?
In the ocean.
Okay, it's in the ocean. Does anyone know where in the ocean we are? Where in the world the setting is? Katie, do you know where? Yes or no?
Nope.
Nope, okay. So I'll show you. The setting is in Australia. Okay, so we start the story, the Great Barrier Reef, Australia. This is where Nemo and Marlin live. This is where their home is. Okay, so we zoom out, we see Vietnam is right here. Okay, and this is where our story starts. Okay, so pretty near to us, right? And then that's where it starts, it's where they live. And then the boat comes to take Nemo, and Marlin and Dory journey all the way to Sydney, Australia, which is down at the bottom. Okay, so they make their way from the Great Barrier Reef all the way to Sydney. It's a pretty long way. Okay, time is present day. These events could happen right now. Okay, so we'll call that present, just like our verb tenses, present day. Okay, so the inciting incident is the point in the story where the conflict is introduced. So this is the part where we see the problem. So does anyone remember this part where we see the problem at first? So everyone's happy in the reef. Marlin and Nemo are at school. And then what happens that sets off the rest of the story? Angtom?
Yes.
What is the part that tells us the main problem in this story? What happens?
What part tell the main part of the story?
The problem. What's our main problem in this story?
Nemo got caught
By
by
who?
the diver.
Yep. So remember, this is the part that tells that starts off the conflict or the problem, right? So Nemo gets caught by the diver. Okay, and then this is the reason that Marlin even goes on his journey. Okay, so Nemo gets caught by the divers and Marlin must go rescue him. Okay, so now we have our rising action. Remember, our events that are getting more and more exciting. So our rising action is going to be all the problems that Marlin faces on his way to find Nemo. Aisha, are you there?
Yes.
Do you remember a problem that Marlin had on his way to find Nemo?
Yes.
Can you tell me?
First he meet the shark.
Yes, so they met the sharks. That's one problem. So that's part of our rising action. Okay, Cherry, what's another problem that Marlin had? So I said that Marlin met the sharks. That's one problem. What's another problem?
Nemo is in the tank.
Okay, so that's a problem for Nemo, right? Nemo gets inside the tank. Okay, Courage, what's another problem Marlin has on his way to find Nemo?
It sees the whale.
Yep, they get stuck inside the whale. Good job. What is another problem, Kangan? So we have they met the sharks, they got stuck in the whale. What else happened on the way to find Nemo? Do you remember?
They see they have a party of brush.
With Bruce, the sharks?
Yes.
Yeah, so we've said that already. Okay. All right, so let's look at some of our other problems that Marlin faces. Okay, so these are our complications. These are small problems that lead up to the climax. So Marlin meets Dory. Marlin and Dory meet Bruce, Chum, and Anchor. So these are the sharks, and this was a problem for them. Marlin and Dory lose the goggles and find the anglerfish. Right, so they go down to the bottom of the ocean and they have to escape the anglerfish. Okay, so meanwhile, remember meanwhile means at the same time, Nemo's put into the aquarium or the fish tank and he meets his new friends. And they tried to escape. So Marlin and Dory meet the school of fish who tell them to go through the trench and instead they go over and
What, teacher?
they meet the jellyfish as they go over the trench. Okay, and then they meet the sea turtles. Okay, so they ride the East Australian current with the sea turtles for a bit. And then they get eaten by the whale. Okay, and this is the part where Marlin realizes that he can trust Dory. And if he doesn't trust Dory, he'll never escape the whale. Okay. And back in P. Sherman's office, their escape plan fails because P. Sherman changes the filter while they're sleeping. And then a pelican eats Marlin and Dory, and then Nigel saves them and takes them to the dentist's office. And then Gil helps Nemo escape by flushing him down the drain. Okay, and then Nemo meets Dory, and she can't remember who he is. Okay, so now we're at the climax. Remember, the climax is at the top of our mountain. The most important or most exciting event in the story. Okay? And remember the decision, so we're going up, we hit the climax, and then we have our turning point and start going back down. Who thinks that they know the climax of this story? What's the climax of our movie? Say, Lisa, what do you think the climax of the movie is? What have we been waiting this whole movie to see? Nemo? Well, we've seen him in the fish tank.
Dory. When Nemo's dad met Dory.
Is that what the whole movie is about? Marlin meeting Dory?
No.
No. What have we been waiting this entire movie to see? What's the name of the movie? What's the name of the movie?
Finding Nemo.
Who's trying to find Nemo?
Marlin.
And so what have we been waiting this entire time to see? If Marlin finds who?
If Marlin finds Nemo.
So does Marlin find Nemo?
Yes.
So what do you think the climax is? The most important part is when?
When Marlin can find Nemo.
Yes. So our climax is Marlin and Nemo are finally reunited. That is the reason for the entire adventure, right? Okay, and then Dory gets caught in the fishing net. And Nemo saves Dory by swimming down. And Marlin learns that he needs to trust his son. And Dory's saved. Okay, then we have our falling action. So this is the part that leads us towards the resolution. Okay, so our falling action is Marlin, Nemo, and Dory make it back to the coral reef. Squirt goes to school with Nemo, and Dory attends Fish Are Friends meetings with the sharks. And then we have Denouement. Final outcome of the conflict is revealed. So at the end of our story, we see Nemo gives his dad a hug before going to school. Marlin tells his son to have an adventure because he has learned to trust him, and the aquarium fish make it to the ocean.
Barbara, I don't understand it. Here this thing has a lifetime guarantee and it breaks. I had to clean the tank myself, take all the fish out, put them in bags, and where'd the fish go? Come on, you got it, that's it. You can do it. That's the shortest red line I've ever seen. Come on, Peach. Now what?
Okay, so our fish finally get back or get into the ocean. Okay, so for homework today, what you're going to do is I'm going to send this mountain home with you and also the different events. These events are in the wrong order. Okay, you need to decide what happens at the beginning of our story mountain, our rising action, climax is at the top, falling action, and our conclusion, what happens at the end. Okay, does anyone have any questions?
No.
In your
No.
book,
Cô ấy làm mà cô Lisa.
so I need to read everyone again. In your movie study booklet, it's going to be pages 61 and 62.